Hey everybody, welcome back to the quarterfinals of CALLOUS Draft Duel. This is the final draft in this round, and then we'll get to the games when they happen, which most of them have not. Only one set has played out at the time of this recording, but we're going to bang out the drafts first, then we'll deal with the games. And like I said, this one is the one that in real time finished last, which is why we're just getting to it now. So strap in everybody, happy June. Let's do the final draft of the quarterfinals of this tournament. But before we do, very quickly, if you don't mind, I would really appreciate if you've been enjoying the tournament, if you could just real quick, just take one moment, hit that like button. It's all I need. If you want to subscribe, I'd appreciate that too. And then please consider joining the Discord server, link in the description, and donating to this tournament. Now, you can join the Discord server without donating. You can come play my trivia bot. It has literally thousands of ADV questions if you want to check that out. You can watch the games live as they happen. I have replays from every single money tournament that I've hosted. You guys can check those out. You'll also be the first to see if I do announce any future tournaments, which we'll see. You guys will be the first ones to know if you're in my Discord server. But if you do want to donate, there is a donation section in the Discord server. This is a small prize pool right now, $400. Would love to get it up, maybe $500, $600. Doesn't have to go crazy, but just a little more love would be fantastic. The way that you do that, donation section in the Discord server, click that PayPal link, and you just send it over directly. I never reveal anybody's information, ever. I don't keep a dime. It all just goes into the prize pool. You can get credit for your donation if you want, or you can donate anonymously. And then, yeah, and then I appreciate you forever, and you get the donor roll if you want it, and we move along. That's it. So if you've been enjoying it and you've got the means, please consider it. Let's get to the draft. So, our players today, ThisGuyMuks. You've seen him. He's on the left. He's the red player. Player 2 on the right, Sharky King in blue. You've seen him as well. So, should be familiar with these guys up to this point. They have both been covered in the previous round. And let's get to it. The first ban, Raikou. This is one of those split down the middle bans. Sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't. I don't think there's anybody in this format who doesn't respect Raikou. Whether or not it is something that needs to be banned, subjective. But it's either banned out or picked relatively early in basically all the drafts. Obviously a threat. Fast, can snowball out of control. Electrics, Raikou I kind of view, you're going to have to stick with me here, kind of like Snorlax. They're obviously completely different mons in the way that they function. When I say like Lax, I mean it's a clearly powerful mon with obvious upside, and sometimes it just wins, but it has a number of things that it really struggles to deal with. So in the case of Lax, Wheezing, Fighters, Leech Seed users, what have you, with Raikou there are some very difficult matchups. Camerupt, Steelix, Flygon, what have you, and you can't have hidden power for everything. So like, okay, they do have a Flygon, sure, your Thunderbolt plus HP Ice, great. But then, like I said, Camerupt, Steelix, various other counters, Swampert, become difficult. Also just the basic special walls, be it Blissey, Snorlax, whatever the case may be, obviously are also good against Raikou as well. So it's obviously strong, obviously has high upside, but it's far from invincible. It can be answered. It does have things that it really struggles with. Where does that leave us in the grand scheme? Should it be banned? Should it not be banned? I don't have that answer for you, but that's where we are right now on Raikou, and it's certainly a highly sought-after pick, even if it sometimes does make it through the bans and sometimes does not. On the flip side, this guy has been banned a ton. Gengar. Still don't know that I personally love that. I feel like I would just let my opponent take Gengar, and I would just take Houndoom and Umbreon and Special Walls and be fine. Maybe I'm underestimating it. It is unpredictable. It does have a ton of coverage. It is fast. Maybe I'm not appreciating Gengar enough. I certainly love Gengar in OU. I don't know that it's a top 4 mon, which is what a ban in theory would represent in this format, but a lot of people sure seem to think that it's ban worthy. It has not made it through the majority of the time. This ban makes a lot of sense. Arguably the overall #1 performer of the tournament thus far. Metagross has been a slam dunk, very safe, no reason not to take this kind of pick, and it's been good basically every time, sometimes a little bit too good. There was an earlier game in which Metagross literally 6-0, just soloed the whole team. Probably don't want to be on the bad end of that. Though again, you got to note, as player 1, you would have the ability to take Metagross if you don't ban it, so he must have something else in mind. And then this ban, the Zapdos, continuing the trend where in later rounds of the tournament, Skarmory has been very much available. It has slipped through the bans repeatedly in this quarterfinal stage. The question is player 1 obligated to first pick it, which up to this point that has been the case. So Mux not banning Skarm, and then Sharky giving it back is saying, okay, you can take it if you want it. Does Mux feel like he's obligated to do so? And the answer here is yes. He's going to take Skarm. That's been the norm. That has been the standard. If it makes it through bans, it just gets first picked. Without the games themselves actually happening, it's TBD whether that is a mistake to let it through bans or not, or as it turns out, if it's not actually as good as people were thinking that it was, we're going to find out. But for now, that is where we are with the metagame. If Skarm gets through, player 1 grabs it. That has been the trend. Okay, so Sharky, this is a standard response that we've seen before. He's going to go Lax, which he may view as the overall strongest thing still available. And then he's also going to take one of the top Lax counters at the same time in Celebi. 2 birds, 1 stone. Protection pick for your Lax. And also, while I don't know that Celebi is better than like T-Tar or 1 or 2 of the other things, maybe Mence, 1 or 2 of the other things that are still available, Celebi is probably a top 10 mon at very least. And like I said, you have the added bonus of taking not only 2 special walls early on, very valuable, but also taking away arguably the best, or one of the best, Snorlax counters. So, I think that is a sensible response. Now, on the other end, Mux is going to go with the exact same logic here. So he could take, like T-Tar Arrow, for example, but instead, he's going to do the same thing. He's going to take Threat and counter to Threat in the same go. So he's going to go Swampert and T-Tar here. And of course, if he were to go T-Tar Arrow, he is begging his opponent to take Swampert. So instead, when you are the T-Tar drafter, he's going to take the Swampert with him. He can pair those together. Obvious synergy there. And also, now the opponent can't have Swampert to try to counter the T-Tar. So that makes sense to me. This is very much the strategy that has been emerging as the tour has gone on. Instead of just taking 2 good things against your opponent, these guys in the later stages have erred more towards taking 1 good thing and then something else that's good but not as good that counters the first thing. So they're taking whatever their preferred threat is, the best threat, and also something that really counters it that doesn't blow in pairs. That's been the trend as we go along, and I think that is a smart way to draft. I'm not surprised that that's become a thing. Let's move along. Interesting response on the other side. I think this highlights a couple things, but I think this is pretty wise. He's going to go Starmie and Blissey. So look at the monopoly already on both Natural Cure and Special Walls. What a start for Sharky. So he's got 2.5 really good Special Walls, the Lax, the Blissey, and maybe the Celebi if you want to build it that way. He's got the 3 best Natural Cure Mon, Celebi, Starmie, Blissey, really good. So he's very loaded against both special attackers and status effects through just 2 rounds of picks. I think that's fantastic. And then he also picked up the Starmie into the first pick Skarmory drafter. So I think a lot of what Sharky's doing so far makes a ton of sense. Now, in doing this, you are conceding both Tar and Arrow to the other side, which is pretty scary to give as a duo, especially when Swampert's gone and you have 0 rock resist. But this early on, you can't have everything, and you just kind of have to pick what you prioritize. And I think that Sharky going down this road of prioritizing Special Walls and Natural Cure and really just taking all the good ones immediately and not even giving Mux a crack at it, I think is a fine strategy. I think is a rock-solid game plan. So really happy with where both of these guys are right now. I think Mux at this point is going to be obligated to take Aerodactyl. The question is, what does he take with it? So, of course, it's the Aerodactyl. But I think a lot of people here, when you would take something like Salamence, for example, he's afraid potentially if he does that his opponent takes my Milotic, so he sees it a different way. He's going to take my Milotic here. So as the Cheetar Arrow Drafter, he's going to try to cut his opponent off of the good bulky waters, which makes a lot of sense. So Skarm, Swampert, Milo, among the better answers to things like Cheetar, to things like Aerodactyl, but he's going to try to choke those out. So both players have gone for a monopoly strategy, for a choke the opponent out strategy, but they're targeting different things. So Sharky is trying to load up on the special walls and on the natural cure users, whereas Mux is trying to, after taking the Cheetar and the Arrow, it's not a hypothetical for the future, he already has the threats that he wants. He's now trying to remove physical walls and rock resists, which specifically for Cheetar and Aerodactyl purposes means the Skarm that he already took and bulky waters. So he's taking the best bulky waters out of play immediately and letting his Tar and his Arrow, Tar presumably going to be physical, but he can customize it as he needs to, but letting those guys go wild. So two different approaches here, and both players ultimately with the same core strategy of trying to monopolize some aspect of this draft, but targeting very, very different components, and we'll see what that ends up looking like when the dust settles. But yet another logical response, in my opinion, from Sharky. He's going to go with Claydol here, and then he's also going to get Mence. Claydol is double duty. It is not only another Rapid Spinner into Skarm, which also cuts off a Rapid Spinner from Mux, who doesn't have any, but it's also a Rock Resist, and one of the better Rock Resists, which you're going to need many of when you are against Cheetar Arrow. I wouldn't be surprised, I mean, we'll see what gets banned, but I wouldn't be surprised at all to see Sharky prioritize things like Flygon, maybe an earlier than normal Donphan. I can see him potentially trying to choke out Spinners as well, since he's already got Starmie and Claydol. Maybe he bans and/or takes Fortress. There's a couple different ways that you can go with this, but one way or another, you are going to need Rock Resist. There is no way around that. Cheetar Arrow on the other side, you've got to load up. Like I said, think Flygon, think Donphan, maybe even Steelix. We'll see where it goes, but those are going to be in high demand. And I can also see Sharky taking like Hariyama, because fighters right now with Lax Bliss, pretty good against him, but they're also good on the other side, so that would be a wise pick as well. But let's not get too far ahead. We've also got Salamence here, which I don't mind taking in this case, into the Milotic Drafter. Not ideal that the counter got taken before you take the thing into the counter, but clearly one of the strongest, if not the single strongest Mons remaining. Very difficult to pass Mence back here. I don't know that I could justify that. I think you kind of have to take it Milotic or not on the other side. So these picks, again, logical, sensible to me, totally on board with where Sharky is right now. So Mux, I think this pick is wise as well. He's going to grab Fortress, and then he's got a Heracross, which we're going to talk about in a sec. But the Fortress, I think, is smart, because I think there's a pretty good chance that Sharky would either ban that out, or as the double picker after this round of bans, might just grab it. But basically, I think if Mux doesn't take it here, then he was never going to get it. I think Sharky was absolutely, whether he takes it or whether he bans it, was absolutely going to cut that off from Mux if he doesn't grab it here. It's his one and only opportunity to take it, in my opinion, and he does. And I think that's wise, because the Spinner War being totally monopolized prior to this pick by Sharky. This is also going to add a second spiker, and it's the two best spikers, in my opinion, in Skarm and Fori for Mux, so I think that's wise. Good pick. Only opportunity to take it. Makes a lot of sense into what's on the other side. Good pick. Heracross, interesting. Fighters in general, good against Lax and Bliss for sure. Heracross in particular threatens Celebi, of course. 4x weak to Bug. Not great into Salamence, but nothing counters everything. It's a threat against basically everything but Salamence. Megahorn, Celebi, Starmie, Claydol, all weak to it. And then, of course, Bliss and Snorlax both weak to fighting. So I'm cool with it. Can you make an argument here to take Hariyama instead, since it's better against you than Heracross is? Sure, maybe, but it's a little bit more of an offensive-minded pick. Hariyama is not good into Celebi, and not nearly as good into Claydol or Starmie as the Heracross would be. So if you're thinking about it that way, the Heracross pick makes more sense. It simply covers more of the team that Sharky currently has assembled being super effective against 5 of those 6 Mons. And I guess you could be super effective against Salamence as well with Rock Slide, but generally, Mence is a Heracross check and wins that matchup. So over to bans, we begin with Sharky King, and he's going to take Dugtrio out, which is interesting because he had the option to pick that. But even though there's a tower on the other side and a Heracross on the other side, he doesn't actually have an interest in taking Dugtrio, and he therefore removes it. As far as his own protection, the Celebi, the Starmie, and the Blissey are the standouts there, things that could potentially get picked off by a Dugtrio. I don't actually think it's that good against Mux. Like I said, there's Tar and there's Hera, but there's not much else. So I'm not that excited from Sharky's perspective to pick Dugtrio. Now, I'm so low on that Pokemon and think that it blows so much D that I would let it through because I hope my opponent takes it. But if Sharky has more respect for that Mon in this format than I do, and he thinks that it's actually good and actually something that he doesn't want Mux to take, then fair enough. But I can see why Sharky himself wouldn't really want it, despite the T-Tar and the Heracross on the other side. There just aren't enough good targets. It just isn't that great, so out it goes. Interesting. The guy playing against the Snorlax is going to be the one who bans Weezing. That's a little bit puzzling to me. I would think that Sharky, with his Lax, would have been the Weezing banner, taking away one of the best answers to the guy on the other side. Trying to figure out why. So your T-Tar and Arrow can go... I mean, T-Tar is going to be physical, but so your T-Tar can also definitely go physical? Is it as simple as that? Is it just annoying against your 2 physical attackers? It's good against Hera, I guess. I don't know. I don't know that Sharky would have taken Weezing with his double pick. I think if I'm Mux, I would have let that through. And if you value Weezing, I mean, clearly you can make it work against at least the Lax, and then like maybe the Claydol and the Salamence as well. But it's like okay against you if you're Mux. It's good against like Hera and like kind of sort of Arrow, Tar, Skarm a little bit. Yeah, I get this ban, but I don't think that I like it. I think, like I said, I don't think Sharky was about to grab that with the double pick. I think if you have your eye on Weezing, especially against the Lax, and especially if you think it's good against you and you don't want your opponent to have it, I probably would have let that through from Mux's position. I don't think Sharky would have grabbed it, and then Mux himself can just take it in the opening picks of the second round if it's something that he really wants. Yeah, I don't love the Weezing ban. So Sharky here is going to... He's going to go for Regice, which makes sense. He's trying to monopolize the special walls. Bolt Beam right now reasonable against him. And it doesn't really leave a ton of special walls. Good ones anyway. There's Registeel and Chansey, and by and large, other than that, it has started to run fairly dry, so that ban makes sense to me, trying to limit the opponent's options with the special walls. I could see maybe banning both Reggies rather than the Dugtrio, so like Dugtrio ban, but fine. Weezing ban I don't like, but we'll see. The Regice ban I can get on board with, and same with this ban. We already talked about why this might be something that is picked or banned early on. Obviously, as the T-Tar Arrow drafter, you want to take Donphan out of there. All good rock resists need to get out of the way as far as Mux is concerned. And Sharky, on the flip side, needs to be taking those sooner rather than later because they're going to be a hot commodity. You're also, this is not the reason for the ban, but you're also taking a spinner out of the fold when you've got 2 spikers and your opponent currently, yes, has 2 spinners, but doesn't have 3, and these spinners do not necessarily beat these spikers. 4E 1v1 beats both of them unless they have random HP fire. So yeah, taking a good spinner out is a bonus, but the main thing is to protect your T-Tar and your Arrow. He's really indicating in every way, with the Weezing ban, with the Donphan ban, he's really indicating that he strongly prefers that the T-Tar is physical rather than some janky mixed or special set. So, with these bans out of the way, Sharky, with the double pick, is going to go for Jolteon and Moltres. Jolteon interesting. I like Jolteon in general as a Mon. I don't know that this is the world's greatest Jolteon opponent. Obviously, it's good against Skarm. It's like okay against Pert, but like HP Grass, unless you're modest, doesn't even always get him. And then obviously you died to Earthquake on the way back. I don't know. HP Grass kind of an unexciting move to me on Jolteon. You do have the speed tie out against Aerodactyl. It also keeps them honest. In a lot of other matchups, if something like Jolteon is not there, then the Aerodactyl can just go Adamant, which is a huge wrecking ball if it can get away with it. But the presence of the Jolteon is going to force it to go Jolly. Otherwise, you just get outsped and killed. It's a coin flip, which isn't exactly an out or counter, but it does give you one final desperate lair at the end of a game, one final coin flip to try to get there. Stranger things have happened. Good against the Milo. Don't know that it's great against the rest of this. I don't hate Jolteon here, but I can't help but wonder if there wasn't something better that he could take. Like, again, I look at Registeel, which just makes all the sense to me. Taking another special wall away from the opponent and picking up a rock resist that he really needs right now. I personally would have gotten Registeel in here somewhere if I'm Sharky King. Kind of surprised that he didn't. And I think Mux might pick up on that and take it for himself. As far as the Moltres is concerned, yeah, I mean, Herafori, Skarm, all Fire Weak. Swampert Tower, both vulnerable to whatever form of Will-O-Wisp or HP Grass or whatever. Same thing, Aerodactyl has to be very careful switching into Moltres. Yeah, it can come in on like Flamethrowers or what have you, but you really don't want to come in on like Toxic or Will-O-Wisp or what have you, or even Substitute really, that's pretty bad. So Moltres is a threat against Mux. I'm okay with that pick, even though it's bad against my Milotic. I would have preferred, I think, going Registeel Moltres rather than Jolteon Moltres, and I think he's going to get punished. I'd be surprised now if Mux doesn't grab Registeel, given the surprising opportunity. And he does. So I do think that was a mistake for Sharky, and I do think that was good capitalizing on the mistake from Mux. And then he additionally is going to take Dusclops, which makes sense. Dusclops is good at blocking the spinners that Sharky has. Donphan can punch through Dusclops, but he banned that, so this is him having a cohesive strategy and putting those things together, building off of the things that he already did. The Registeel is a much-needed special wall for Mux, which, again, I don't think Sharky should have let him have. I really do think that was a critical mistake. So it gives him not only the special wall that he really needs, but it also would have been good against T-Tar Arrow, no longer something he has to worry about. And then Dusclops, like I said, pretty good at shutting off both Starmie and Claydol. Wants the spikes, whether it's from Skarm, whether it's from Fori, whether it's for something else in the future, to actually stick. Bonus points for Dusclops if it happens to be annoying against the Lax or the Celebi or whatever, which it can be depending on the set. But the primary thing is to protect the spikes, and it's going to be good at that. Both of these picks make sense to me from where Mux is sitting. So on the other end, Sharky taking what he views as the best spiker and possibly the best spinner remaining. I don't know. If you want just a spiker, you get Glalie here, but he's going to go double duty with the Cloyster. That can, of course, do both. And then he's going to grab Hariyama as well, which is a sensible pick. I think that is something that Mux very realistically may have taken sometime in the near future, had it been allowed to float around too much longer. We already discussed the Hariyama earlier, and that it's good against both your Lax and your Blissey, and it is also good against the T-Tar on the other side. Also a rock resist. Not a great one in this context, because if you're wrong, Aerodactyl just gets you with HP flying as you switch in, and you also don't switch in all that great to Double Edge, so you're kind of only switching into Rock Slide, but rock resist or rock resists, gotta have them. I'm fine with the Hari pick. I could take or leave the Cloyster here, but unlike many of the other drafts recently, in this round particularly, where it's been one player just dedicating themselves to the Spikes War and the other guy just doesn't bother, just lays over and says, "K, I can't keep up. You're taking them all. I don't care. I'm just going to go a different way. I'm just going to go really aggro. I don't care about Spikers." This is one of those drafts that one of the rare drafts in this round where that is not the case, where there is pushback, where they are both fighting the Spiker Spinner War. And that makes it more interesting. It's not one player that just blatantly dominates it and just has spikes in all 3 games, and the other guy didn't even draft a spinner, doesn't even have the ability to contest it, in any given game. They both may have spikes or spin. And yeah, it's going to make a more interesting dynamic. Either player, in theory, can win the spikes war in any given game. On the flip side, Muks, again, denying any good bulky water. Does not want his opponent to have that. Wants his Cheetar and his Aerodactyl to carry him to victory. The Vaporeon is also a good pick against the Moltres, so it makes all the sense to me. And then Gyarados. Generic Goodmon in the format. Probably another physical threat alongside the Cheetar and the Arrow. I think it's a good complement to them. I don't think the Gyarados is necessarily against anything specific on the other side, but probably a good complement to what he already has. He's got spikes, makes sense. He's got two other pretty aggressive physical mons, makes sense with that as well. Yeah, it just fits. I think these are good picks yet again for Muks. Sharky on the flip side has really pulled a 180 here. He's really showing that he's committed. He's not rolling over and dying in the Spikes War whatsoever. He is absolutely going to be a full participant in the Spikes battle, picking up, after taking Cloyster in the previous round, picking up Glalie here. So quick head count is going to show us we have 2 Spikers and 1 Spinner for Muks, and we have 3 Spinners already and 2 Spikers for Sharky King. So on paper, actually, Sharky is a little bit ahead in the Spikes War, though it is noteworthy that Muks has Dusclops, which is probably the best spike-protecting ghost, whereas Sharky King does not have a ghost at all. So we've got a heated and contested Spikes War going on here. Dragonite, on the other hand, ooh, baby. You know I'll never say no to that pick. I don't think it's a counter for anything in particular. I think it's just a generic good mon. Usually against these TSSE teams, these like mid-rangey TSSE teams, which is what it looks like Muks has right now, maybe 1 or even 2 of. Usually mixed breakers like Knight are exactly where you want to be. You can just customize it to do whatever you want. You can just look at these like first 5 picks, for example, first 6 picks of Muks, and if you want, Dragonite can hit every single one of those super effectively. Whether it's Thunderbolt against Scarman Arrow, whether it's Flamethrower against Scarman Fori, whether it's Focus Punch for Tar, whether it's T-Wave for all of this other than Swampert, whether it's HP Grass, whatever you need it to do, it can do. It also learns Bell, which he is very, very ahead on the dealing with status department. Certainly if Sharky decides with these guys to splash in a couple T-Waves or a couple random surprise Toxics or whatever, that could go badly for Muks, who currently is not that great at dealing with status. You're never going to have to sell me, baby. You know I love me some Dragonite, but something that I don't necessarily love is that this round he's picked up Moltres, Cloyster, Glalie, Dragonite. Know what they all have in common? They're all weak to rock. They all are rock weaknesses, when that was already a problem. He is playing right into the hands of what Muks is doing. I think that if Muks even gives him the opportunity, I think Sharky needs to go really, 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 really hard from here on Rock Resist. I think the one way that this ship is really going to sink is if he just never picks up the Rock Resist, if Muks just, whatever, right now takes Flygon Steelix and then bans out 2 more Rock Resists, like, all of a sudden Sharky, oh fuck, I've got a real T-Tar and Arrow problem, and I don't know, I think there is a point of no return. I think there is a point where it's just too late to get a remotely quality mon to deal with those. So while I do like Glalie and Dragonite both as Pokemon and on the teams that Sharky is building, I think he might be pushing his luck a little bit too much with the rock resistances. I think he might just have a little bit too much of a weakness in that department. He only has the Doll and the Yama, and like neither one of them even switches into Double Edge, man. I don't know. This could get ugly, especially if Muks right now denies him of some rock resist. But let's let the round play out, and then we will reconvene. Muks does not go the way that I thought that he would. I definitely, if I'm Muks here, I would absolutely have taken Flygon and just gotten that out of the way. I might have gone Flygon Steelix, legit, just to absolutely milk the crap out of his rock advantage, but he's going to go a different way. And these are good picks. I see logic to the picks that I'm suggesting as well, but that's why he's the one drafting, and I'm just some dude commentating. So Metacham is going to get grabbed here. We already talked about the merit of fighters against Sharky. Of note, even though we were just talking about rock weaknesses, obviously the Cloyster and the Glalie are weak to fighting as well. And then as far as the things that resist fighting, the Dragonite, the Moltres, whatever, obviously Metacham can just get him with Rock Slide. So it does seem to me like a threat against Sharky King, but I would have milked the weakness and taken at least one of the rock resists out of play. Charizard, on the other hand, might just be that he doesn't want it to get passed back. The same way Moltres is a threat against a lot of this stuff, so is Charizard. So these are heads-up picks. These are aggressive, proactive picks that could be strong against Mux. If he doesn't take them, I don't think it's wild to see Sharky taking either of those in this position. So if he's viewing it in that lens of these are good mons, they will be good for me, but they would have been good for the opponent, and I don't want him to have them, then I'm okay with that thought process as well. Certainly, if he's not taking rock resists here, he should very much look at banning rock resists. And Sharky really, really, really right now needs to pull the trigger. I would like to see him take at least Flygon, and I wouldn't be opposed to like Flygon Steelix, like I said. But he is going to do neither of those things. I don't like these picks at all when he should be taking rock resists, in my opinion. So gonna criticize Sharky for these, I think, but he's gonna go Blastoise Venusaur. Yeah, I mean the Blastoise, I guess I'm like kind of okay with. The bulky waters have really been choked out by Mux, and if he views this as the best one available or one of the best ones available alongside like Slowbro, but this one spins, then sure, I guess. It doesn't excite me, but like, you've got a Blastoise. I don't know. I don't think that was going to get banned or picked from Mux in the next couple of rounds. So like, I think he could have let that through and still gotten it later, but who knows? The Venusaur pick, not excited. Why? What are we targeting with Venusaur? I don't. You take it when your opponent has a bunch of fighters because you resist it. Not the case. You take it when your opponent has, Snorlax, Milo, Blissey, a bunch of fat, slow stuff. I mean, there's a Milo, but, like, not really the case. I mean, Venusaur is good on teams that have both Spike and Spin, so, like, with that logic, do you just view it as a key role player on those kind of teams? Maybe. He's also taking it into a non-electric drafter. I like Venusaur into, like, Jolteon, and to a lesser extent Zapdos, but again, not the case. I don't know about the Venusaur pick. It's really hard for me here to pass up on Flygon or Steelix, and I would assume at least one of those, if not both, is about to get banned. I think that Sharky, he's drafting good teams, but he's not giving enough credit to what's on the other side, and I really think Sharky is going to run into a Cheetar and an Aerodactyl problem at this point, and it's getting harder and harder to find viable answers to those things as we start to run dry in the overall Mons pool. And in the least surprising ban of all time, Flygon. It makes perfect sense for Mux. We've been talking about it for several picks, and Sharky had quite a few chances to grab this, and in my opinion, should have grabbed it. There's no way for me that I'm taking Blastoise and Venusaur over it. I don't know that I would take Glalie Knight over it either, given the circumstances, but whoever it is, whether it's Jolteon, or whether it's Blastoise or Venusaur, there had to be somebody in here that you could have not even given up, just like saved for later and taken down the road and grabbed the Flygon. He had his chances, he didn't take it, and I do think, and keep in mind, these are not after the fact trying to make myself look smart predictions. This match hasn't happened yet. I don't know how this is going to play out, but my prediction is that Sharky is going to have Cheetar and Arrow issues and may come to regret not taking the Flygon when he had multiple chances to do so. On the other side, Sharky says no thanks to Jinx. Yeah, I mean, Jinx I don't think is like ever a super targeted ban. I think it's just been a a strong Mon, an overperformer in this tour, and Sleep is just an obnoxious thing to play against in general, so out it goes. This guy Mux, least surprising thing in the world, taking out more rock resistances. Steelix is still floating, and I think that Sharky really needs to take that, but yet another rock resist. 3 in a row plus Wheezing, which is basically a rock resist, have all been denied by Mux, and Sharky just is not responding to it. He's going to take out Alakazam, so weird to me that with how loaded Sharky is against special attackers that he is worried about these particular Mons, but two of the best special attackers in the format have been removed by him, and we move over to Mux. So, again, choking out anything that can even masquerade as a bulky water. Porygon 2 comes down. Broken record. T-Tar and Arrow are going to be a fucking problem, and Sharky has not done enough. And he's going to grab Armaldo here as well. We've seen this throughout the tournament. You pick it into Lax, especially into Lax B. It also can be super effective against the Starmie and the Doll, so nice little targeted counter pick here. It's also a rapid spinner if he wants it to be, so that could potentially be his second spinner. We'll see if later down the road he picks up some janky one, Tentacruel or whatever, or if he thinks that 2 is enough and he doesn't feel the need to stretch for a third one. On the other end, Sharky, now finally, but probably too little too late, finally starting to take the T-Tar seriously. Gonna go Machamp and Slowbro. Better than nothing, but not enough. It helps, but there's no way that this is enough in my mind. He needs to keep on going for the rest of the draft, and I don't know that Mux is going to allow him the opportunity to do so. Mux is going to take Ninjask here, which I'm not personally thrilled about, and he's also going to take Tauros, which I'm fine with. The Ninjask is great on paper and gimmicky, and oh, I'm going to pass the speed to Hariyama, oh, I'm going to pass the speed to Marowak, whatever. It hasn't played out like that a single time. Scary on paper, has I just win potential upside, but has not actually happened even once yet in the tournament. So far, Ninjask has been a bust. Is it scary? Does it maybe randomly steal you a game that you shouldn't win? On paper, yes, but it's one of those things where I will believe it when I see it. Ninjask, I think, is just junk. I think it's just not viable. And like I said, if someone wins the game because they Ninjask cheese, then fine, golf clap, credit to you, you got one. But I think it's a gimmick, and I think more often than not, it does a whole lot of nothing, and I would have liked to have seen him take a more reliable, non-gimmick Mon in this position rather than stupid Ninjask. So I don't like that pick for Mux. One of the only picks in this draft that I don't like, because I think he's drafted very well overall. And the Tauros I'm okay with. There really are not all that many normal resists on the other side. In fact, am I looking correctly? Yeah, you know what? There are 0 normal resists on the other side for Sharky King. That's probably not a good number. So right now, CB Tauros clicking whatever, Body Slam, Return, Double Edge. It's gonna hit something and it's gonna do damage. There's absolutely nothing on the other side that resists it. That seems... God, I mean, at this rate, I mean, if he's that normal weak, I mean, maybe Mux. I mean, are we looking at some CB Zangoose? Are we looking at pick another normal? You want to get some Ursaring involved? I mean, no normal resist on the other side. I wonder if Sharky, the second he sees that pick, is going to look over and be like, okay, who do I have to switch into that? Oh, come on, I know I have it somewhere. Just wait a minute, let me look. No, this got to be, not this one. Hold on a minute. Like, I wonder how deep down the rabbit hole does he go before he realizes, wait, I don't have a normal resist. How did I not draft Eddie? I swear I did. But no, he's got none. And I wonder if this makes him immediately, like, what if he retaliates? Oh, fuck, Rhydon Aggron. Oh, fuck, Steelix Regirock. Like, does he just immediately hit the panic button here and take double normal resist? I mean, really, I mean, I'm half joking, but, like, not even. I'm, like, barely joking. It's, like, kind of funny, but not, like, Steelix, Regirock are like real picks that he should actually take here. Not just because of the Tauros, but because you need more against the Tar and the Arrow, but like even more so now when you have no damn normal resist. Like, if there were ever a time, dude, Steelix plus Regirock. Do it, Sharky King. Hear me. Hear me through the computer right now. Steelix plus Regirock. He kind of heard me. I was like speaking loudly. I guess next time I have to like yell, scream, make the neighbors hear me as well. He got part of it right. So he goes Ludicolo and Regirock. Well, the Regirock makes lots of sense. Need more against Tar, need more against Arrow. Really, really, really need a normal resist. Ludicolo. I can't get there that he wants that more than he wants like Steelix right now. I've been saying Steelix since like early round 2, and he still doesn't want it. So I don't know. I guess he thinks that Mon blows. I don't think Steelix is great either, but you've got to do what you've got to do as the draft plays out. I can't get there on Ludicolo over a proper rock or normal resist. That can't be right in my mind. But that's what he took. And Mux, of course, finally is going to cut off the Steelix, which should have been taken by Sharky long ago. And he's going to take the Blaziken as well. Blaziken, I could take or leave into Sharky's team. Good against Lax, Celebi, Bliss, so there's that. Overall, is it great against the team? I don't know. Is it a scary Mon? Yes. If you saw the Zakaru Funk game in particular, you know what it can potentially do. We also know that the opponent can't have sand since Mux himself is the T-Tar drafter. So obviously, if you're going to go with the reversal set, you can put Blaziken in a guaranteed no sand stream game, so that's cool. I don't mind the Blaziken pick. I would have gone all in a long time ago when I realized that Sharky doesn't know what a normal or a rock resist is, and I would have just been taking all of them. At this point, I'd be taking the Rhydons and the Agrons of the world and just going bananas and exploiting the blatant weakness on the other side. The other thing you could do, like I said, is like Zangoose or Ursaring or hell, Kangaskhan, whatever you want, and just really, really milk it with the lack of normal resists as well. Sharky obviously realizes the weakness, and he's going to try to shore it up here, but man, are we late to the party with this. Mischievous Rhydon, 2 normal resists and a rock resist. Yes, good picks. I want to scream about fucking time, but he's trying at the end to cobble something together, but I just don't think it's enough. In my mind, ThisGuyMuks has won this draft. He's going to finish it off with Breloom and Clefable, and it's interesting that Clefable is going to be the choice over my beloved Miltank. Don't know that I personally agree with that. The only thing that Clef has going over Miltank is that it's just a bit more versatile, but Miltank has better stats, has a better ability in thick fat, can do a lot of what Clefable can do, such as recover, basically. Milk drink, soft boiled, recover, it's the same. It can recover, it can T-Wave, it can S-Toss. If you want to make it a bad Blissey, Miltank not only does that, but does it better. It has better stats, it hits a bit harder, it's got a better ability. The only thing that Clef really has going on is that it's got the versatility. It learns things that Miltank does not learn, like Calm Mind, like Belly Drum, like a plethora of special attacks. I don't hate Clefable. I just think as a nitpick that Miltank probably would have been better. And I believe, don't quote me on this, but I don't think that Clef has access to Heal Bell either, but I might be making that up. It might, but either way, Miltank does it better. So yeah, I would have taken Miltank there over Clef if that's what he feels that he needs, but that's a minor nitpick. The Breloom is good. Sharky already had a couple fighting weaknesses, and then he recently picked up a couple more in the Rhydon and the Regirock. Sleep is a powerful thing. I'm cool with the Loom. And then the pick on the other side, Nidoking is going to be the final thing taken. So actually my beloved Miltank, who's been taken in basically every draft, does not get picked up by anybody in this one. The Miltank, the Nidoking, I guess, can, like, randomly be a threat against some of this stuff. You've got, like, Stab EQ against Tar. You can go Bolt Beam against some of this stuff, against Milo, against Skarm. Again, Stab EQ against, like, Blaziken, Steelix. Maybe you can outspeed the Loom, get it with Ice Beam. I get the Nidoking on paper. In practice, I've always found that it doesn't hit hard enough and that it's not truly fast enough when you need it to be. It's not actually faster than, like, the real fast mons, but a lot of that stuff either didn't get taken. For example, Sceptile not here, Alakazam banned out, Jolteon on the other side. So, like, Nidoking is actually faster than most of, not all of, but most of the things that Mux has. But I don't know, I generally, it is at its best by far when it's paired with spikes, which I think it's reasonable to assume in a lot of cases Sharky is going to have. He does have multiple spikers, but in practice, I've never been all that impressed with Nidoking. I get on paper why it should work, especially with its move pool, but yeah, I'll believe it when I see it. It's one of those mons that just never impressed me, even though I want it to be good and it feels like it should be good. Just never is. And that is our draft. That is our final quarterfinal draft. You guys heard me throughout the draft. I have nothing new to say. I think that it's okay if you've got a strategy to allow your opponent to have T-Tar Arrow. It's scary for sure, but it isn't like a death knell to let those through. But if you're going to do that, then you are obligated to draft and respond a certain way, and I don't feel that Sharky fulfilled that obligation. I think that Flygon should have been picked way before that it was. I think Steelix should have been picked way before that it was. I think... yeah, I mean, the Donphan ban was good. He didn't really give him a crack at that, but that was probably a priority. I think the normal weakness thing, pretty egregious. Don't know why that wasn't covered way before mid-round 3. I think that the T-Tar and the Arrow in particular are going to be issues. I think in a similar vein, the Gyarados could be tough. I think the Tauros is going to be good. Sharky has good mons, but ultimately, for me, it looks like an average-ish draft for Sharky. Certainly one that has the aggression and the spikes to win, but I think that Sharky just didn't do enough to deal with the T-Tar Arrow at the end of the day. I think the bottom line of this draft is that it's going to be very, very challenging to switch into CB Arrow or DD Tar or even BKC Tar. Frankly, there just isn't enough that can safely switch into those rock mons. And like I said, some of the, quote, rock resists. You know, Hariyama's not coming into Aerodactyl Double Edge or coming into really Aerodactyl anything other than Rock Slide. Same thing. I mean, yeah, Claydol comes in on Rock Slide and EQ, but it doesn't want to come in on CB HP Flying or CB Double Edge. And you can say that about any of them. Like, yeah, again, you know, Regirock, Rhydon come in on Double Edge, whatever. They don't want to come in on Earthquake. So Quake Slide, I think, is just going to be really, really challenging for Sharky King. And I'm also not convinced that his overall mon quality, Sharky King's, it's fine, it's good. I don't know that it's better overall than the mon's quality for Mux. Now, the saving grace could have been, and again, I don't think Sharky did enough to exploit this. Sharky did get the monopoly largely on special walls, going back to another thing I don't like about Sharky's draft. I think that this Registeel was probably the one single most egregious. If I could just narrow it down instead of like a strategy or a series of picks, if I could narrow down one pick that I think was the biggest mistake, this would probably be it for me. I think that over one of these, probably the Jolteon, but over one of these, I think Sharky needed to pick the Registeel there. I think that really, really changed things. I think the Rock Resist and the Normal Resist would have helped him tremendously. And I think that not giving your opponent a special wall would have been huge, because now Sharky has a way to win on his own. He just loads up. Instead of banning these things like Jinx and Alakazam, if he had taken the Registeel, you just take things like Jinx and Alakazam, and you go with the special attackers route that I don't think Mux had that great answers for. Maybe he would have taken Chansey or something, but I think trying to overrun him with special attackers, especially if he had taken the Registeel, would have been viable. So for me, that was the single most egregious mistake, mispick, whatever, lack of pick for Sharky in the draft. You didn't take the special wall, you didn't take the rock resist, you didn't take the normal resist, and you gave it to your opponent. And I think that's going to be an issue as well. So yeah, all things considered, in my mind, Muks won this draft. I predict him to win the set, but I've been both right and wrong as predictions go up to this point. Who knows which column this prediction is going to fall into. I'd love to hear your prediction. Let me know in the comments. And with all these drafts out of the way, we are going to get to some actual games as soon as they happen. Look forward to that soon, and I will see you guys in the next video.